We're in Paris. Can't believe I'm here. 2023, I went to 4 countries, and of course, with travelings, it's never smooth sailing. So I wanted to share with you 3 crazy travel stories and also baking 3 of my favorite recipes. Enjoy! I have no sweet at home, and that just means one thing. Let's bake some more desserts. Today, let's make Madeleine. The one with the lost passport. This happened most recently on my trip to Korea, more specifically Jeju Island. I've always been the kind of person who carefully check her bags like 50 plus times when she get up from a desk or leave a place. I guess I have this paranoia that I'll forget something really important. So how did you think I reacted when I could not find my passport in a foreign country 2 days before leaving an island to fly to Busan? So let me take you back to how I discovered I lost my passport. At this time, I had spent 4 days exploring Jeju-do and was having the time of my life. I went to the art museum, tea museum, take pictures with the windmills, go to the harbor, until I noticed my passport was not in the dedicated pocket in my purse. Now I knew for a fact that I could not have left it in any other bags because I needed it to get tax-free refund whenever I go shopping. I panicked and searched all of our rental car for potential drop in the middle seats, in the car aisle, I don't know, just anything. However, it was not there. We were out when I discovered that I did not have my passport, so my friend did not want to stress me further, and we went back to the hotel to ask the receptionist to call all the museums that I went yesterday if anyone had found it. The receptionist was so helpful and called the locations since I could not speak Korean, and the last thing I wanted to hear was 없어요, which means there was none. After I heard what he was saying, there were so many thoughts going on in my head. Mainly just one of how am I gonna get home? If you're thinking, well, you can always go to an embassy. It's true, you can always go to a US embassy when there are problems like this. But the issues is that there are only 2 US embassies in Korea, and they are either in Seoul or Busan, and I'm on Jeju Island. Let's refrigerate for about an hour and then we're gonna bake it. So the only option for me to get to either those locations is to fly there, which I could not do because I don't have my passport. The next and last options is to take a 12 plus hours ferry ride, which I should also tell you that I have seasickness. I thanked the receptionist and ran back to my friends. Typical Madeleine's looks like this, but I got this seashells pan. Reminds me of my magnets from Korea. And we discussed when was my last time pulling out my passport. It was the day before at Olive Young where I was getting my tax refund. We were all like, okay, let's just go right now. I can vividly recall the anxiety of me walking into that Olive Young. I had pulled the door instead of pushing the door because I was shaking. And when I got to the cashier, I just showed her the Google translated of, have you seen a passport in Korean? And I was holding my breath. Like I did not realize that I was not breathing until the girl turned around, take out something from a basket behind her, and then come to me and say, is it this? Pointing at a US passport. I think tears were coming out of my eyes without me knowing, and I just kept saying, 감사합니다. So when I got the passport in my hand, I had to check, of course. I did not want to have false hope that it could be some other poor soul that had lost their passport. But when I turned the front page, my face staring back at me, my name, all the information was correct, and I could honestly scream at that point. I walked out that Olive Young with my legs shaking and almost gave up on me. So I guess what happened was when I gave the cashier my passport for a tax refund, I forgot about it and only take my shopping bags out of the store. Which is great for getting a good deal, but how are you gonna get home on? Luckily, I'm happy to announce that I got home safe and sound after that, and my friends and I just joked the rest of the trip to check your bag before you leave a place. Like, guess we all need to make that one mistake to have a lesson ingrained in our brains.
My brother is trying mine, although this is like his 10th time. What do you think?
Today's recipe is Chou à la crème. And if you're like, what is that? It's basically a cream puff. The one with the twist. Now this one, when I told my friends, all said, wow, I did not expect that. Let's talk about my flight from LAX to Paris, France. I made a video of this flight, but I omitted a lot of interesting stories until now. Do note that I was flying alone on an 11 hours flight, and I always tried to board the plane later in line because I did not need the overhead bin space since I don't typically carry around a carry-on. So imagine walking onto the plane last and seeing someone sitting on your seat. Okay, I watched so many of those videos of entitled people on planes that I just had a feeling that this might lead to confrontation, which I do not want. However, I went up to the man and asked, what is his seat number? Because this is my seat.
And this is good, because you know, once you touch it, it doesn't stick to your finger.
He was actually really nice and asked if I could switch seat with him and sit in the middle left.
Bye-bye, I'll see you in about 10 minutes.
A little backstory. This plane had a 3-4-3 configurations, which mean there's 3 seats on the right side, 4 seats in the middle, and 3 seats on the left side. My seat was on the right aisles and his was on the second left. So basically, the middle left. If this was a short flight around 1 to 2 hours, I would be okay, I guess, with trading his seat with my seat. But this is an 11 hours flight and I don't really like to bother others when I use the restroom, which I use a lot. I ended up saying no and he moved to his original seat, but the vibe just felt a little bit awkward, especially for the person sitting in between us. Well, luckily for him, the person sitting on the left aisle seat was not boarding or on the plane when it closed, so he ended up getting 2 seats. That's wonderful because now I don't feel bad on this plane anymore. Everyone has boarded the plane, it took off, and then our first meal came and go, and the plane started to dim the lights for people to go to sleep, and I start to smell alcohol. I know it's not new that on certain airlines that they serve alcohols on flight. I was alerted because the smell just got stronger and stronger, and it reminds me of like me sitting next to my drunk uncle. I just thought, hey, we finished a meal like 30 minutes ago, so maybe someone just ordered extra alcohol. Until about 15 to 20 minutes later, the flight attendant came to the left side of my row, aka the gentleman from earlier, and asked if he was drinking his own alcohol. Now, I did not know that you cannot use the duty-free purchase that you just bought until you arrive at the new country. I just thought that we can use it once we leave the ground of that country. Anyways, he admitted that he drank his own alcohol, and the flight attendant told him that the rules is that he cannot drink his own alcohol, but they could provide him with theirs. Let me tell you, I was shocked by his response because he asked them if he could finish it since there's only a little bit left. Okay, there's someone who is like me that is told to listen to authority figures. So this is a new world to me. The flight attendant ended up confiscating his alcohol and said that he could get it back once they arrive. After this like whole dilemma and drama, and I'm just like, okay, I need to go to sleep because we still have around 8 hours left. And a long nap later, I woke up to around 5 people standing in front of my seat. At first I was like, what is going on? Because the light was still dim and most people around me, like on my right, behind me, were still sleeping. I questioned a bit and then I just like drink some water, play around with the screens, and an announcement came on from the captain requesting if there was any doctor on board due to a passenger with medical emergencies. At that point, I assumed that was the reason for the commotion.
Looks like this. I have like these tips. I'm just gonna try to wiggle my way in. Wiggle in. So that it's easier.
But guess who stood up and told the flight attendant that he was a doctor? Yep, it was the guy who sat in my seat, moved to the left side of the aisle during on the plane, and got his alcohol confiscated. The lady who sat between us told me that he was a surgeon. Like what? Out of everyone on this flight, he is the doctor that will help this lady with the medical emergencies. I guess you really can't judge someone by their cover. Anyways, beside the life lesson, the medical emergency was for this lady who sat about 2 rows ahead of me that had terrible motion sickness. The gentleman helped calm her down, and when we landed, he wrote her prescriptions for medicines to get in France. Overall, this was a very interesting flight story I had this year, and I don't really think anything can top this.
Do you want some?
Yeah.
Good? It's his favorite too. Everything is baked, and look at this.
It is so adorable. But let's just eat it. It's still fresh because of just heavy whipping cream and cream cheese. And then the outside doesn't really take away a lot of flavors from the inside. And so they both complement each other super well. Look at the filling.
Today, I'm thinking of a simple recipe, so let's make banana bread. Last story, the one with the shake. This happened way back on my trip to Tokyo. I mentioned this in my Tokyo vlog, but I'll talk in details right now. Before flying to Japan, I've always heard about the earthquakes that occur in Japan. But you know that feelings where you just think that you're the exceptions, like nothing is going to happen to me? Well, I was wrong. Our first 2 days went really well and the weather was perfect. Until I woke up at 4 a.m. due to not getting used to the time difference and just jet lag in general. I was scrolling on my phone like I always do until an emergency alert popped up on my phone saying there was an earthquake warning. Well, I was reading that and vividly feeling the shake. Here's a little tip. When I travel to a new country, I always buy travel insurance. But in present time, my friend and I jumped out of our bed and ran to the tiniest desk in our room until the quake stopped. I think it only lasts around 20 to 30 seconds. Then the hotel made an announcement telling everyone to use emergency exit to go down to the street and meet with the staff. We rushed out and I took the 3 most important things: my phone, my passport, and my wallet. Let me tell you, when we opened the door, I did not expect other people to stand outside their door, be like, what is going on? Where do we go now? After a bit of time, we found the emergency exit door and just hurriedly ran down the 12 floors of stairs. It was a morning workout that really I was not expected. Everyone was just standing outside the hotel and we just stood around until further instructions. Luckily, it was not too cold that morning because I was wearing a shirt under my hotel robe and literally feeling so exposed. But anyways, we waited for about 45 minutes until it was clear that we can go up to our room again. Later on that day, when we were walking around and using the subway, there was an announcement listing everywhere in the subway station regarding some routes that were affected due to the earthquakes and that there would be delay. Overall, I'm just so thankful that no one was hurt. Of course, my mom called me a few hours after asking if I was okay, and being an Asian girl talking to her mother, if you know, you know. You just gotta say yes, everything is okay, I'm really fine. It's really normal here. No one is hurt. Everyone is well directioned. They are trained to do what they do. So don't worry. So I guess the lesson for this story is to just be extra careful. Don't think that nothing will happen to you, but just think the best will come. Listen to directions and have all the necessities with you.
What do you think?
Yes.
Like this much? This is yours.
Oh no.
I almost fall. Good fortune! I'm so cringy. So cringy. Oh my god, I literally have a heart attack because on my second to last day in Jeju, I thought I lost my passport. It turns out it was at the Olivia. I'm shaking.